please, we're at unitedintentions.org, and you may sign up for a free membership where you can interact with like-minded individuals to help create, track, and manifest your passions one intention at a time. My special guests today are, on my right, Callahan, and on my left, Anton from Roswell Barbell. Welcome.
Thanks for having us, brother.
You are very, very welcome.
Glad to be here.
Thank you, Anna. I understand you have the radio turned up at Roswell Barbell right now.
They're turned up and they're
Better
lifting
be.
large.
I like it.
That's
I
it.
like
It's
it.
5 o'clock.
So they're listening here in Atlanta on WDJY FM 99.1. Give a shout out to your crew.
Get it on, dogs.
Let's go.
We're in the house. So listen, I have to be really candid with you guys about a couple things. Number one is I know your background, and the guests will get a real good idea as to who you are as we go on through the interview. You guys really stepped out boldly here in the last year, and you opened up your own gym, and I knew it would be very, very good. I didn't think it would be as amazing as it is. And so I want to congratulate both of you, because it's my understanding that in 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to celebrate your first year anniversary.
That we are.
Yeah.
1 year and a lifetime to go.
Thank you.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
So listen, folks listening, there are a lot of gyms out there, and there are a lot of decent gyms out there.
There are.
Anna and Callahan have a world-class gym, and I want to talk about that. We've all, Callahan, you and I in particular, have a lot of history. We've trained at a lot of the same gyms together over the years. We've trained at a world-class level, and there are a lot of things I really love about what you two have done. One is, as I mentioned, you can be a world-class athlete and feel very comfortable. You can find your happy spot there. And yet I go in there and you have high schoolers who have trouble tying their shoe and knowing which room to walk into to do what. And then you have grandmothers in there, and yet everybody is happy and everybody gets along. Talk to me about how you did that, because you and I, Callahan, and some of the gyms we trained at, you and I both know it was kind of a dog-eat-dog world, and you weren't welcome until you were welcome.
That's true. You had to earn your stripes, and there's no doubt. And I really don't have a problem with that. Gyms are set up that, you have invite-only gyms and things like that, and I understand their purpose. But at Roswell Barbell, we didn't want that. I want everybody to lift. I think the whole world should lift. And so in putting this thing together, I've been in the gym for over 41 years now. I was a national level competitor for almost 5 years. I've been coaching nationally. I've worked with the guys at the world level. And I know all the toys and the things. And yes, if you are a world-class athlete, I want you to know, you can come use my facility. I have all the things for you. At the same time, I also want you to know, if you're just getting started, I also have the door open for you, because I don't ever want somebody not to think they can lift.
Everybody can get strong.
Yes, absolutely. And, I like what you just said, Callahan, because here's the truth. All three of us have trained for many, many years. I've trained for over 40. I think you've trained for over 40. I know you've trained for a long time.
I'm not that old.
I was going to ask you how many years. I know Callahan and I have both trained for over 40 years. I got started quite a while ago. But what I love is, a lot of these gyms forget that you have to start somewhere. I mean, we all started somewhere.
Everybody starts with an empty bar.
Thank you. I like that. And so you have to be able to go somewhere where somebody can take you under their wings.
That's our job.
And that's your job. And you guys do it as well or better than anyone I know.
Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Well, it's truth. I only speak truth, and it is truth. Anna, give us a little bit about your background, because you have quite an interesting background.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm a native Atlantan. Went to University of Georgia.
Go Georgia.
Yeah, that's right. I was an avid snow skier, water skier, and then spent about 20 years professionally training horses and showing.
And you're very humble. Anna is really quite an accomplished lifter. I was hoping she'd tell a little bit more.
I will.
Okay.
I'm
all right,
getting
you go.
there.
Go,
getting
girl.
there.
You paused on me.
Yeah, sorry.
She tends to be very humble, which is appealing. It's very nice. But tell us a little bit more.
Yeah. About 10 years ago, I had an accident. A horse fell on me. I had to recover from that. And when I did, I realized I was good at lifting. I was good in the gym. And it wasn't that different for me to learn to train athletes in the gym as it was for me to train horses and their riders. I mean, athletes are athletes. So
yeah, and you made an interesting joke when we were speaking a little while ago. You said it's easier if one of your athletes falls on you than horses, because
if one of my clients falls on me now, we're going to laugh. I'm not going to the hospital.
Yeah, you actually had quite a story.
Yeah,
you want to take a moment and tell us about it?
That's all right, but I recovered from that.
You recovered.
Yeah,
you recovered
so now
very well.
I've got my certification with USA Weightlifting and my coaching certification with USA Powerlifting, and I'm a competitive power lifter and coach.
Well, and one of the things I want to speak to you two about is it amazes me how much organization you have. Here you are, you're not even a year out, and how many meets have you guys sent teams in for? 2-3 meets already?
We've actually competed as a whole team. We've competed officially once as the actual Roswell Barbell.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
that was the only team meet
Right.
that we attended.
Right.
But,
But-
we've
but
what, about 4, 5
Yeah, yeah.
meets.
Yeah, I mean that's incredible to me. Who creates a gym and already has a legit team sending people out to big meets
We're very
within a year?
persuasive.
I got it.
That we are.
Yes, and we're gonna have some fun stories about that, Anna, later, aren't we? I like it. Callahan, tell us a little bit about your background. You've got quite an impressive background.
Yeah, I've been lifting, like I said, I've been in the gym for over 40 years, and it's one of those things where I've lived all over the United States. By the time I was 14, I was in Roswell, Georgia. It was my 16th city. I was raised in hotels. So traveling all around, knowing I'm going to be in a new city, a new school, about every 6 to 8 months, the best way and quickest way to make friends is athletics. So I was always playing. In my younger years, there was a lot of baseball, a lot of soccer. And then one year, I was 13. I was at Longfellow Junior High in gym class, and I went over to high jump. I missed the mat and landed perpendicular on the floor. Cordionized my spine. I'm strapped to a board, and the doctor's telling my mother, well, his athletic days are over. Well, you don't tell a 13-year-old active boy his athletic days are over.
Got it.
I found the gym, and I got lucky, and I will always say this. I have been lucky the whole way with the gym because I've always found some mentor, somebody who knew more than me, always found me, took me under, and kept me straight. And then I moved down here to Roswell. That gentleman was Coach Barker. Coach Barker was a young coach at Roswell High, knew lifting, loved lifting. He's the kind of coach, as a young kid, you thought you hated because he was mean. He yelled. He wanted. What you found out is, no, he saw potential. He wanted you to succeed.
Yeah.
So by the time you reach that senior year, you find out, yeah, he's the greatest coach you ever had.
I love it. I love it. So you did something that was really interesting. You were in a very comfortable space, both of you. You had great clientele. You're lifting well. You're changing people's lives. Suddenly you decide it's time for me to go out on my own, and lo and behold, a blink of an eye, you're in Roswell Barbell. Tell us about that. What prompted you to make that move?
Well, I was getting stifled. The brain I was at was really great as far as the guy who was letting me do my thing there, but I was reaching a stage in my coaching that I needed it to be bigger. I had Anna training. She was competing, working her way up to the national level. I had some younger guys. They were going to, and the place we were in just really wasn't conducive to that kind of training. And I was getting just really stifled.
They didn't like our music.
And they didn't like our music. And
You got to like your music.
you gotta like
the music.
We're we lift heavy iron and we bang the heavy metal.
And he's
There you
loud.
go. And I'm loud.
Is he loud?
He's really loud.
Is he?
I am
Okay.
loud. I am a loud individual. I coach by bark, and I get what I want.
But he really is a nice guy.
So we had an opportunity, and we did it. We just went for it because at the end of the day, I just really realized for me to continue on doing what I've been doing, I had to have my own show. And that's just all it boiled down to. The only way this was going to happen is I had to get out on my own and run my own show because that was it. Like I said, I have to be able to do things my way. And I'm a loud, physical, expressive person, and I know what I want. Okay, and by no means do I know everything about it. Oh, no, I do not. But I do know what works, and better, I know what doesn't work. And I think that's one of my strongest suits is I actually know that's not going to make you successful.
And you have a very long history of producing some really successful lifters.
We've
and
done well.
athletes. And athletes.
And Roswell Barbell, we have space. We have 5,200 square feet plus outside.
Right.
So we've got room to
And you
do
use
all
it
of those
wisely.
things.
Yeah.
Every inch of it.
I love it. All right, you two, let's jump into talking about what we all love best. Let's talk about training.
Let's do it.
Let's
Yep.
do it. So, you know, you two, I was at a gym the other day, and I know we could give hundreds of examples of this, but you walk into a gym, and there were some young men training, and they were really enthusiastic. And one guy is doing singles on the bench, and so I'm thinking, oh, he, in my world, he must be getting ready to compete, or he's
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
he's going to do a
absolutely.
PR.
Right.
And so his buddies come up, and they're looking at him as he's doing his singles on the bench, and they say, oh, are you you getting ready for a meet, or you training for a PR today on the bench? And he says, no, I'm training for mass. And I thought, whoa,
singles.
wait a minute, with singles? So what I want to do, let's throw some principles. Let's actually talk principles here. Let's talk first. I know you two love strength. You're strength coaches. And I want to talk about principles around lifting. So if you're training somebody for power, both of you join in as you will, and tell me and the listening audience, what kind of thoughts do you have when you're training as a power athlete?
My approach of it is going to be, you're going to do a lot of doubles and triples. To me, singles are towards the end, and I might even take you up to some singles from some training days, but I'm actually going to bring you back down, and we're going to work volume. I'm a big volume guy. I believe in volume. I come out of the 80s, and I believe too much is never enough, and excess is best. And that is still true to this day as far as I can go.
So, right.
But on the power
many
game,
fronts.
on many fronts. But in the power game, we're going to train multiple weeks, working a lot of doubles and triples, because I feel it's also when we can kind of correct the most mistakes. Because to be able to push that kind of weight, you're really going to have to bear down, and everything's going to have to be spot on. And training, if you do a bunch of just singles, you can kind of get away. You can sneak some things by, but you can't sneak things by on doubles and triples. You got to stay focused.
And also working that 3 to 5 rep range, most people can keep their technique. And if you really want to be more powerful, that's important. You don't want to get injured. If you want to push more weight, you have to do it right. So if we're doing 8 to 10 reps, the odds are they're going to get sloppy. But a lot of people can keep it on track for 3 reps.
Got it. Very, very good. So we're talking power. We're talking here basically in the 1-5 range. And we're going to start out higher if we're training in a power cycle, higher reps. And then we're going to go more towards the singles as we get near a competition or our event. Let's talk about time in between, the interval in between your sets.
If we're at top ends, I'm going to let you recover. As I'm always telling my athletes, especially my younger athletes, this is not sprint class. You're actually allowed to catch your breath. I want you to catch your breath, because if you can breathe, then I have your mind, okay?
Yes.
If you're sitting there panting and you're looking at me like you have lost your mind, coach, I don't have you. So I need you focused.
Yeah,
and
very, very good.
So I give you enough time on that. But having said that, it's still, if you were to clock it, I just watch my athletes, but if you were to clock it, it's going to be right around that 2 to 3 minute mark.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
People
Especially for the bigger lifts, for the squats, for
Sure.
the deadlifts, where, they could hurt themselves.
Yeah.
They've got to
Good
be
point.
recovered if they're going to lift heavy.
Right. And thank you for that. That's a really important point, because what everybody in the room knows is as you go heavier and heavier, it takes you longer and longer to catch your breath. And 2 or 3 minutes might not be long enough. There have been a number of us, Callahan,
Absolutely.
Not that I'm pointing at anybody in the room or me, that you might need 5 or 10 minutes if you're going to do a really, really big lift, right? So in other words, the point I'm making here is that you got to be safe when you're training for power, and you got to look at every individual. You got to make sure that you have caught your breath. You don't go under a really heavy weight, is what I'm hearing, if you're going to be doing heavy weight without having caught your breath.
It's not a fitness exercise.
Excellent point, Anna. Very, very, very good. So, okay, let's now talk about what kind of exercises do you use if you're training for power. What's that look like?
Squat.
You're going to squat.
Start with squats.
Can I get another squat?
Everything starts with squats.
Everything's going to start with the squat. In athletics, and whether you're a parathlete or any athlete out there, if you look at the ready position, and there's not one sport out that doesn't have ready position, that's the squat. Okay? And all power is generated through the hips and the legs. I don't care if you're a swinging athlete, if you're a kicking athlete, a running athlete, no matter what you are doing, that power is transferred through that area. And that is the squat. Squat is king, because it's going to build, even if you just did nothing but squat, your entire body would respond.
If you had to pick one exercise,
you're going to squat
in the gym. That's your best bang for the buck.
Right.
And then coming out of that, it's really, then I'm going to be dealing with, okay, this athlete, why are they here? All right. And if they're an overall strength athlete, we're going to the bench. If they need help, if they're a jumping athlete, say they're a basketball player or a baseball player, we're probably going to hit the cleans afterwards, because we got to get that explosive power off the ground.
Right.
And going from there, then work into the bench and deadlifts and all those other lifts. And then, I'm a volume guy. They're going to do a lot of big, complex movements with me, and they're going to do them heavy. And they're going to do a lot of sets.
Yeah,
so go ahead, Ann.
If they're a high school lacrosse player, I trained a group of girls from Milton High School, from their lacrosse team, and they come in. They want more. They don't know it, but they need more mass.
Absolutely.
They need more
Very good
upper.
point.
They need more
Sure.
upper body strength. I mean, they're going against some big girls, and some of them are going on to college, so they are going to bench press. They are going to develop that upper body strength that they don't even. That's not even what they're there for. They don't think.
Right.
But once they do, they realize their whole game improves.
Well, what I like about what you two are saying is it incorporates the use of the entire body.
Absolutely.
You develop a very powerful body by doing large compound
Yep.
movements that require utilizing in a uniform manner the entire body. And Anna, what you said is perfect, because one of the things that we've all seen is our smaller athletes can get bounced around a lot out on the field
Absolutely.
if they're not strong. And
Yep.
some of your young lacrosse players were pretty powerful. They're not going to be bounced around readily when they're, squatting 1 or 2 times their body weight.
Absolutely.
Very good. Very, very good point. All right, so let's move on. Let's say somebody wants to do more strength training. You're somebody that has to be powerful, but you got to be able to sustain the strength, if you will, over the course of, maybe a game in football
Right.
or rugby or something like that. So how do you tweak it? How do you go more for strength than power?
In my world, you're going to be doing reps now 5 to 8.
Right?
But again, we're going to start with the big compound movements. And when I bring you off of primaries, and primaries to me are squat, bench, deadlift, and cleans. Those are my big 4 primaries in the athletic world. We come off of that, we're going to hit our accessories, and you will probably end up then I will be supersetting you with multiple exercises back to back. We'll work the big secondary, say hack squats. I might have you hit a set of 10 with that, but I'm then going to make you run in there, and we're going to hit some leg curls for about 12, 15. And then people say, well, that's just kind of bodybuilding, isn't it? I said, yes, it is.
Yeah.
But people forget the hamstrings are the brakes and the accelerators of that big body. And I'm a firm believer in if you have no weak links, you have a strong chain.
Yeah, I like
You
it.
got to
Anna.
build that muscle stamina.
Right. Yeah. Good point. So you're still going to have lots of power, but you're also going to have strength, and you're going to have stamina to carry you through the entire game.
I also think that that's key for injury prevention, because you're building all the smaller muscles and all the stabilizing muscles,
Right.
and you need that.
Beautiful.
Come
Excellent.
off of bench press, and we're going to go do some overhead work and some lateral work and some tricep work, and all of the things that are going to support that big bench.
Very, very good. So, all right, let's talk about now going into supporting. I know you guys see a lot of young athletes in particular. How do you modify? I know clearly we've got squat, squat, squat. I get it, and perhaps deadlift, maybe a little benching.
Yep.
Right, little power cleaning. What do you do for the athlete, like the football player, the lacrosse player? How do you kind of complete their training profile? What do you do? You start with these large lifts. I got
Right,
it. And then
right.
how do you tie it together for them?
I'm going to show them how to be explosive by going outside and letting them now utilize it. Because now we're going to go outside and we're going to play with tires. We're going to play with stones.
I like it. I like it.
Because
We're
the
gonna pull the
quickest way
sled.
we're going to pull sleds and push prowlers, and we're going to show them. Because a lot of times they'll always tell you, it's like, well, my weights aren't going up. How can you tell I'm doing better? Because A, you're executing better, which is, of course, the thing that's the most important. And B, it's these secondary things that all of a sudden, look at you now. Look at you. You're flipping at that tire that was kicking your butt for 1. You're now flipping it for 10. You're now having 5 plates on the prowler, and you're pushing it. That's where we're going to.
I love this.
And I'm going to keep the young. Let's face it. You keep a young kid. You tell them we're going to go play strongman games. They're in.
They're in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's go pick up a big stone and put it back down.
Just because we can.
They like that.
They love that.
Yeah.
They
like
love
that.
that.
I want to hit another point that we didn't talk about a moment ago, and I'd be remiss if we didn't, which is one of the things you guys do is you really focus the younger generation. You make them accountable. You get them in. You make sure they show up every day for their workouts. And you make sure that if they do, you help them progress. And by doing so, they become goal-oriented. And these guys and gals are going to do better in life. They're going to learn how to be disciplined. They're going to learn how to be focused. They're going to learn how to strategize, create a game plan that if they implement every day will tend to have them be more successful.
Yeah, and they get to be part of a crew.
Talk about that, Anna.
Well, so we've got a young man who's 16. He was 15 when he first came. He was one of our first gym members. He
Right.
waited for us to open the doors. And he and his friends joined our crew. So next thing you know, you've got, women in their 50s. You've got somebody who's 30. You've got the big guys. You've got these kids who are teenagers, and they learn how to be part of the team.
Yeah.
And there's some
Right.
accountability there.
There's a lot
That's
of accountability.
important.
Yeah, the teenagers, I don't allow them to skip school and hang out in my gym.
Yeah.
That's a big. You're not allowed
Yeah.
to do that.
Right,
They're held responsible for all their equipment. They must break down all their bars when they're training with us. No headphones. No. Get them out.
No.
Everybody's got to be tracking.
Oh, got
and
it.
everybody
Got
has a
it.
job. Everybody has. You may be running the rack. You may be spotting, loading. It's your responsibility, and you are held accountable, and you are treated the same. The thing is, we don't. Just because you're a teenager or whatever doesn't matter. Everybody is treated the same.
Everybody knows how to lift off.
Right.
Everybody knows how to spot.
Right.
These are you're not a real lifter if you haven't learned that.
Well, and I love I just love this. You're teaching community. You're teaching respect. I had something that really kind of irritated me a few years ago. I was out going to the movie, and I had my family in the car, and I was literally pulling into a parking spot, and this group of young people, probably anywhere from, I would guess, probably 18, 19, maybe 20, and they cut me off. They pulled in and they flipped me off, and my kids said, Dad, do you want to go over and tip their car over? And I said, do I want to? I do. I do. Yes, I do.
Can I help you? Yeah.
Do you need help? No, I don't need help necessarily. I could do it myself. I think, but I said, I'm not going to do it. But I did walk over to the car, and I said, look, guys, there are a lot of parking spaces here. You did not need to cut me off. If you do it again, I will tip over your car. Do you understand me?
Because my daughter's a big deadlifter. She's in the car with me.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And they sort of trembled in fear for a moment. I said, look, what you did was inappropriate. You don't do that to anybody. So next time, you'll be in your car sideways. Got it? And they said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I love that you're teaching these young men to go out in the world and be somebody worth being.
Yeah, everybody in the gym learns the gym etiquette.
Right, it's gym etiquette. It's probably one of the most lost arts out there.
We hear that.
It's just not done anymore, and it's a shame. There's really no excuse for no gym etiquette. There's no reason why people find it acceptable that if you walk up to a piece of equipment and it's completely fully loaded, that it's expected for you to break it down.
Yeah.
Or on the other end is worse, that there's no reason why you loaded that. You just decided to go get a drink of water and you come back and somebody's got your equipment. There's absolutely no excuse for that either. That is unacceptable behavior, or even crazier than that is you'll see these people in some of these places doing the most bizarre things, and it's like, where is the floor staff? Why isn't somebody walking up and saying, hey,
don't do that?
First of all, that first question always is, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Because they probably don't. Honestly, they think they're doing something,
right?
And they're not.
We're not sure what's happening there.
We're not sure what's happening here. And
Yes.
then I think to me one of the biggest crimes out there, quite honestly, is my opinion, out there on all these videos. They have these, unfortunately, these gym fails, and people laugh at all these things. But the bottom line is, if you really watch that, the potential for injury of these people is horrendous. And it's really not funny when you really realize these people are trying so hard, but no one's taken the time to teach them, to show them, or just work with them. And so that's a crime. I think it's a crime.
Just the simple art of learning to work in with someone.
There you go.
Right.
I come in and go, hey, how many more sets do you have? Do you mind if I work in with you?
Right.
I've taught people that, and then they go back to their big box gym and they go, that worked.
Yeah.
I have to share, and certainly feel free to share a story, but I'm going to share a couple because they're so absurd that you just have to share them. And so maybe somebody out there listening will pay attention. I remember a number of times where I would have a normal person's body weight in each dumbbell. And I'd have somebody, and I'm not kidding you. I mean, I'm Callahan, you can do it, I can do it. And I have them, the dumbbells on my knees like this. And someone literally steps in front of me, bends over so their butt is within 8 inches of my kneecaps, and ponders whether they're going to grab the 30 or 35-pound dumbbells. And what goes through my mind is, I'm going to wake you up a little bit by just gently dropping these to the side and having you have the realization that a person's body weight is in each of my hands. Right. And this is dangerous, and you could actually get parts of your body crushed.
What's our sign say?
I have 4 words on the wall for my safety sign, and it's observe, inspect, never assume. And if you follow those 4 little words, you'll be amazed and shocked at how easy your life is.
Right. Yeah. So folks out there, listen. Once again, another great point. Have etiquette for everyone. Don't walk in front of a person getting ready to do a heavy squat, deadlift, bench press. Somebody who's got heavy dumbbells on their knees. Please take a moment. Give them space. It takes a lot to lift intensely. Be courteous. always don't walk in front of somebody who's getting ready to do a lift. It's not appropriate, and it's not showing respect and
actually
courtesy.
that they're about to do that lift. And hence the observe thing is like, actually pay attention. Is like, oh wow, I didn't know you were about to do that. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. What part of me with this big weight in my hand did you not pay attention?
Yeah,
to?
exactly.
What did you think I was going to do with it? You know.
But another kind of a silver lining as well to training with us is I have people say now they know what to do when they go back to their other gyms. Because a lot of times people will come in and train with us, but they may have a membership at a big box gym, right?
Right.
But once they've come in and trained with us, they know how to load their bar. They know to use the collars. They know what to do in the free weight section. You know, they're not intimidated by other people anymore. They know how to ask to work in with somebody.
Right.
You know, they have a plan when they go to
Well,
their gym.
it's clear that when
know.
you're done working out with you guys, you're going to be able to go anywhere in the world
And that's right.
represent
And that's,
yourself
I mean, that's
well.
important. And that's very empowering,
Right.
especially for people who were not comfortable in the gym before.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the things that just isn't taught perhaps as effectively as it should be is a concept of etiquette and respect.
Absolutely.
You know, nobody should be cutting anybody off in the parking lot. Nobody should be walking in front of you when you're getting ready to lift a heavy weight. And even though even if it isn't heavy for you, Callahan, it might be heavy for Anna. So you show respect regardless.
Well, that's just
It's
it.
headphones.
Weight, weight is immaterial. It's up to the lifter to decide. You know, weight doesn't discriminate. It's the greatest thing in the world because it doesn't discriminate. You know, which is the beauty about the weights in the gym. And why do I want the entire world to lift once again? Because it's the one thing where no matter what, if you are a little guy or the biggest man on the planet, a woman, a girl, it doesn't matter. The weights want everybody, and it's the ultimate place to be because anybody can do it. You could be in a wheelchair. If your upper body works, guess what? You can train. You could have a busted up knee. You still have other parts. You can get in the gym.
Right.
Everybody can get stronger.
Everybody gets stronger.
And people think, oh, I'm not strong enough to lift there. If that's
will.
a powerlifting gym or a bodybuilding gym, or you have all those big strongman things, we're not strong enough. And I think, I don't judge that. Right. You come in and we start where we start.
Yeah.
We start where you are, and you will get stronger.
You will lift.
And, you know, here's the thing. And Callahan, you and I, and you too, excuse me, Anna, because you've been at married a Barbell, so you know it absolutely as well. Remember the days at Coffee's gym?
Yeah.
You know, there was always someone around the corner that seemed to be much stronger.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
I remember, you know, I mean, I was a pretty strong guy when I came to Georgia. I wasn't by any means at the peak of my strength capacity, but I was still repping 405 for 8 to 12 reps. And I had a very large gentleman approach me one day, and he said, "Say, Hoss, do you mind if I work in?" Well, I mean, I'm a very courteous guy. You know where this story is going to go already, Callahan. Turned out it was Joe Majors who held the world record in the super heavyweight division in the bench press. And
his name is Hoss.
Yeah, right. And
yes, Hoss.
one of the things I loved about Joe was he was an incredibly kind, humble man.
Absolutely.
And I would have let him work out regardless. I mean, it wouldn't have made any difference. But what was really humiliating is you're pretty strong to do 8 to 12s with 405. Joe did a couple quick sets, said, "Do you mind if I work in?" I said, "Not at all. Please work in." He said, "By the way, my name is Joe Majors." And I said, "I'm Nelson Bullmash." And all of a sudden, he warms up real quickly. He's up to 405, and he does it for 20. And the last rep was as easy as the first. So there's always somebody lurking about that's going to walk in that can humble you accordingly.
Which is, you hope there is someone.
Yeah, it gives you
That's
something
good
to shoot
you.
for. Absolutely. Makes you hungry, gives you something to shoot for. All right, we're going to take a break and listen to our sponsors. You're here listening to Health Matters. I'm Dr. Nelson Bullmash, and we have Anna Anton and Callahan from Roswell Barbell. We'll be right back.
Good day, planet Earth. Michael Don Miguel Litton here in Roswell, GA.
right,
Join me every other Friday at 6 p.m. for the Ride the Vibe show, the show where creative folks have the opportunity to share the genesis and power of their creativity, where they can intend having their talent being expressed all over the planet. Find my show on WDJY 99.1 FM on the United Intention Spreaker channel, iTunes, Stitcher, and many more. You can also find my show on social media on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram as United Intentions, and on Twitter at Higher Intention. Jump on the wave and ride the vibe. It's a cool way for getting the creative juices flowing. Cheers to a groovy day, and remember to always ride the vibe.
Ride the vibe. We're riding the vibe here. This is Dr. Nelson Bullmash. You're listening to Health Matters once again, and we have Anna, Anton, and Callahan from Roswell Barbell. Welcome back, everyone. And I want to direct some questions to you here. Okay. You do amazing work. You have an amazing group of women in particular. I know you train men, women, children, the elderly. But I want to take a moment, if you don't mind. I want to focus on the women you train because you do such an amazing job with them.
Kind of my core group.
Yeah, your core group. I love to go in the morning and watch you train. So tell us about the typical woman who might work in and how you work with them.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
That's a juicy one.
So I have a pretty large group of women that train with me, say 55 to 65, or maybe early 60s. And some of them have been with me for 8 years, 7, 8 years.
Right.
So, but the typical woman's going to come in somewhere in her 50s and say, my doctor said I got bone density problems. Or I heard that I need to lift weights and I don't know what I'm doing. Or I've run my whole life and now why do I have this around my middle? I get that one a lot. Yeah. So
I can imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. So
kind of a typical problem of the.
I mean, they don't come in and say,
age.
"Hey, I want to be a power lifter."
Right.
That doesn't happen. So when they all end up squatting, they end up bench pressing, they end up deadlifting, but they do a lot of other things as well, right? If they get strong, they get more fit, they do get leaner, they do drop some of the tire around the middle, and on a whole, they're empowered, they're stronger. They're happier about it.
That has to be amazing to be. I mean, let's face it. It's hard, particularly for a lot of women. I mean, it's certainly hard for men.
Well, I mean,
but it's got to be really hard for
their metabolism is against them. Their hormones have changed.
Not only that, the notion of going into a quote unquote sweaty gym with really big guys.
Most of them have never picked up a dumbbell in their life.
Of course, right?
It's got to be no idea how.
It's got to be really scary for a lot of them.
Yeah, and for most of them, it might still be scary 8 years later. I don't really know. That's my job.
Well,
that's job security for me.
Yeah. They may be a little frightened of you. You could. I've seen you. You could be a little intense.
Yeah.
But let's
they love
look
it.
at
Now it's a way of life for them.
Right.
It's a lifestyle.
Right. And tell us, like, how does it change their lives?
Well, for a lot of them, they do have more energy. They are stronger. They feel better at the end of the day. Whether they're a school teacher or they're nurses on their feet for 12 hours, I mean, it doesn't really matter. A lot of them have lost weight. They're not on the medications that they had to be on before.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of concrete good.
So they just feel good about themselves and their lives.
Well, yeah. I mean, it has an antidepressing effect.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of benefits to pushing some weights.
And you know what? I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what age you were. When I was lifting at 10 and 12, it was exciting to lift my 100-pound bar at 8 or 10, and when I was older, it was very exciting to lift my heavy weights, and it's just fantastic.
What do we say?
To feel
it's fun.
strong.
It's fun to be strong.
Yeah, it's fun to be
Yeah.
strong.
It's fun to be strong.
It's fun to be strong. That's us.
Right. Callahan, tell me about some of the people you take care of and how you take care of them.
Oh, well, my clientele literally runs the gauntlet. They literally is as young as 12, and I've had clients all the way up through their 80s, and quite honestly, everybody gets really treated the same.
It's true.
They really are.
It's true.
Ann and I are going to take a moment and laugh, right, Anna?
It's true.
Let's laugh for a moment. Yeah.
I really don't. If you want to know the truth, I really don't. I treat everybody the same. Obviously, if you're a younger set, I will talk to you one way. If you're the older set, I'm going to talk to them. But at the end of the day, I'm going to train everybody the same. And where they're going to train the same exercises, the same weights, the same that, but you're going to get the same intensity.
Right.
You're going to get the same barking. You're going to get the same attitude. I just really don't change. I've had people through the years that say, "Hey, could you take it down when there's no."
No.
I have to ask you. I have to ask you. We've got to make it official for everybody listening on the air. You have never officially eaten anybody, right?
Not officially. No.
He has chalk lined a few people.
He has chalk lined a few people, but everybody does leave the gym from the same door they come back on.
It's bad business if you kill them off.
Oh, got it. Okay. All right. I was asked to ask you that question.
That's
okay. It's official, everybody.
It's
you heard
official. They have all slowly walked out, but they have all walked out on their own accord.
And most of them come back.
And most do come back. Most do come back.
I may need to seek a therapist to figure out that one, but
we do that too.
Interesting that what people pay us for. Yeah. Callahan, talk to us. You have a neat history. You've trained some amazing people. Anything you want to share with us?
Oh shoot, who have I? It's more of, instead of just the people, it's more the experiences. It's more of all the gyms I've been to and all those experiences. Like, the bulk of my training through the 80s was all the whole bodybuilding thing. I was not a competitive bodybuilder. I lived a bodybuilding lifestyle. It was all about, the Tarzan look and all that. That's what we did. The 80s was all about hair and fashion.
Right.
All right. And it was just what it was. And I was training down to the animal kingdom, and I got to train with some of these monster guys. And it was great because, once again, the intensity, it's 4 cinder block walls, it's the ceiling fans, and you're just getting after it. And then, once again, they're all willing to help you. And this is, you look back, because then from there I went up to Coffee's Gym. And then that's when I learned, no more egg white omelets and steamed hash browns.
Yeah.
Power, girth, and strength is the way to go. And it was on. It was steak and loaded baked potatoes and ice cream at 10 o'clock at night. Because there you have it.
No girth, no power.
No girth,
right?
no power. That's
what
right.
the shirt says.
But having said all that is, we had quote unquote just reality TV, all you had to do is walk in those gyms, turn on the camera and walk out. No script necessary. It would have wrote itself, because you had the ultimate cast of characters you could ever run across. And like, getting back to Coffee's Gym, which to this day
You've
is
been there.
I trained there. I remember some of the craziness.
Coffee's Gym forever will always be just that gym. For those of us who train, those of us who are down here, those who have spent any time there with John, and you got to know John just to understand how this place was. He's one of the smartest men you will ever meet, knows more than anybody about, and I don't care, not just weightlifting, powerlifting, bodybuilding. The man knew everything. But the thing about the crazy, like you said earlier, is like, you think you're strong, and you are strong. You are powerful. You're a champion of this, and then right through the door comes a bigger, stronger person. But the better thing about the whole thing about Coffee's Gym, and not just Coffee's Gym, is really all these gyms. We can go to Marietta Barbell. We can go out to Goggins Force. Those are all the local guys around here. We're all together. This is what we do. We're all in the strength business, and we all get along, until competition day. And then when it's over, we all get along again.
Right.
But if you say you did something, or you say you're a part of something, you better have done it. Because you know what? Right next to you is a person who
has done it. That's right.
They did it. So you better make sure your stories are legit.
Yeah, got it. I hope that Kurt and I hope that Kurt Leslie and Steve Goggins are listening, because I'd love to have them join us for one of the shows.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That would be a lot of fun.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun.
Yep.
So tell us one of the stories. Any epic stories you want to share about Coffee's Gym? Because that place, you're right, it was right out of a movie. It would be worth sharing some of those just for the pure fun of it.
That you can say on radio.
Yeah. We're good.
I can give you a good one if you need help.
No, I mean I have. There's just so many Coffee's Gym stories. But some of the most of them dealt with when I finally was allowed to get up on the platform with Curtis and everybody. I earned my stripes to get up there and train with all those guys. And we're up there, and you just had to understand, for those who weren't there, is Coffee's Gym was broke down into the bodybuilders in the front part, the power lifters in the back area. You had the weightlifters in their own little area, and then you had all the other people, once again, like the clientele we're sharing, who just like to fill it in.
Yes.
Okay, they were not there to be competitors. They were not. They just wanted to work out, and they loved that environment. They just wanted to say they knew those guys. They wanted to be a part of it, and we loved having them. We loved having them. But this is also back in before they changed a lot of the rules concerning blood and all that. And I was a headbutter. And
yes, you were.
Yes, I was. And to get my mind right, because I was a gear lifter, single ply lifter. And when you get all wrapped up and you're sitting there you're all jacked up and you're about to do this thing. To get my mind right, I'd pull my head back and I would just crack my skull against that bar.
This explains a lot.
Yes,
I just want to say.
Yes.
And I would. And, you could just, we're sweating. It'd be pouring down my face. And if I didn't get it right the first time, I'd crack it again just to make sure I got it right. And I'd get under that bar and I'd step out there and I'd do my thing and I'd throw it back up in there. And, about that time, you just always just see Jane Black, be taking somebody around the gym and they would just be sitting there. But,
mouth open.
Yeah, his mouth is agape for those of you that are listening to us.
And they're just like going, did that just happen?
Yes.
And Jane's like, really?
Yeah. Yeah. My new client.
Right. It's kind of like, but that was just how it was, and being up on that platform, everybody had their thing. We didn't have internet. We didn't have all that. All our information came from us, and we had Powerlifting USA. Right. We had VHS tapes. This is our information. Unless you went somewhere, if somebody traveled somewhere, they'd come back, hey man, these guys are doing this. Okay, let's do it. Because they were doing it. Right. That's how we're done. Everybody's and when you turn on our music, it's cassettes and CDs. So we would literally it was your turn to lift, your song went on, and you hit the button. And so here's the crack. So here you have me. Okay, I'm up there all jacked up, and I'm cracking my skull against the bar, and I'm listening to Pantera and Body Count. All right, here comes Curtis Leslie, world champion, lifting way more than me. He puts on Holiday, Madonna. And there you have it. And there you have it.
That gym was so awesome in so many ways. I remember going to get a drink one day, and I'm looking at a young woman who's wonderful, and you know where I'm going with this. And she's lifting enormous weights, and I'm thinking, good God, who is that woman? And it turned out to be Robin Birch, who's training for the Olympics.
Yeah, Robin Birch, yeah, absolutely.
She won the Olympics that year. And then I go around the corner, and there's Dave Passanella, who's grumpy because I'm bench pressing and I'm on his bench and I need to get done. Yeah. And then you turn around the other corner and you got some WWE wrestler.
Actually, it was all the WCW guys.
WCW?
They were all down there. That was. But once again, the beauty of that gym and what I want my gym to be, and I know what Curtis wants his gym to be, and all of us who are in the. Once again, we want all that level of athlete, that level of lifter, or whatever it is, all to be in the same house. Yeah. But nobody cares as far as your status. We're all just there to lift.
And everybody's interested.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And everybody pays.
Like, what are you doing? Because maybe I could do that too.
Or
maybe that'll help what I'm doing.
Right. Can I work in with you? That kind of thing. That's because the beauty of these gyms and the thing we're striving for is everybody's on the same plane. We're all even killed because we're all there for the same thing. It's like-minded people. It's that neighborhood thing of this is what we're here and this is what we do and what I do in the rest of the world. That's all cool and I'll go take care of that. But when I'm in this house, this is what I do.
Bound by steel, as they say.
That bound by steel. That's right.
People look at our Instagram feed, and at first I think, there's going to be a lot of squat pictures in there because that's when I always have my camera. I'm in charge of the social media, so I have my cameras there. And so people look and they'll see people lifting, doing all sorts of different things on our feed. But what they always hear in the background, who is that yelling in the background? And it's Callahan.
It's
so
Callahan.
I might be there coaching somebody at the squat. I'm doing a great job. I'm spotting behind them. They're squatting beautifully. Do they care? No. They want to know who's yelling in the background. And he's on the other platform. He's not even yelling at my lifter. He's yelling at his lifter over there. So first they like the music playing in the background, and then they say, turn it up so you can hear Callahan yelling.
Love it. Love it. That's it. All right, let's switch gears here for a moment. Sure. You two have, in addition to to training athletes, in addition to training high schoolers and people who walk in, whether they be high school guys and gals, you also do a fair amount of work helping people rehab. Yeah. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, so don't get the impression where you're not.
Yeah, I know you're not physical therapists.
Right. We're not physical therapists. We're not orthopedics. But
hold on. Let me actually clarify something. I didn't mean to put you in an awkward situation.
No.
Let me clarify here. So people come in many cases because you guys used to work at a physical therapy gym.
Absolutely.
So what I should have said to frame this properly for you, Callahan, and I apologize, is they would come in after they're complete with their physical therapy.
Yes.
Now you take over.
Absolutely.
Right. And we do get a lot of those people, and I'm glad to have them because once again I want everybody to live. And I'm really good at these people because I'm busted up. I have all kinds of holes. And once again, that's why I'm really good at what doesn't work because it broke me.
Right.
So, but at the same time, you can come and tell me I can't do this or I can't do that. And I'll probably look at you and go, yes, you can. And they're like, no, I was told. I said, I am not here to be a doctor. But let's just go try this. And I can say that because I have that injury.
Right.
And I have lots of them. I have lots of holes, and I've learned how to work around every single one of them. I mean, I'm no longer competitive, but I'm in the gym still 6 days a week, and I run with my young dogs, and I refuse to let them beat me. So yeah, if you come in and tell me, I did this or I have that, it's like, all right, let's just do this, because chances are it's not going to be a game of can't. It's going to be a game, do you want to? And if you really want to do this,
there's a way.
we will find a way to do it.
That's right.
We will find a way.
And let's see how much you can do.
Right.
Thank
Let's
you.
find that out.
Yeah, you were talking a
Right?
little while ago, Ann, about optimizing. I really
That's
love
me.
that. Yeah, talk about that. That's fantastic.
Well, everyone can get better. And so my mindset when I get a new client, or especially someone who's coming in off of an injury or has had a lot of injuries, I'm like, all right, there's certain things we might not be able to do, but what can we do to optimize you? Right. How can we make you better? Right. How can we make you stronger?
Right.
What parts can we work with?
And that leads to
everybody improves.
Right, and then that leads to what you thought you couldn't do. Guess what you can do now?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've got a woman in her early 70s right now, and when I first met her, she said, I want to lift with you. I want to avoid knee replacements. They tell me I need 2 knee replacements. And I watched her stand up out of the chair, and I went, well, that looks pretty good. You just popped right up out of that chair.
Right.
Started working with her, so 2.5 years later, she's better than she ever was.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. She's doing very, very well. So let's talk about some of your successes. That's a really great story, because I actually spoke to her a number of weeks ago, and she said that you helped her reclaim her life. And so let's take a moment and talk about that. We love lifting because we love lifting, but we also love what it provides all of us, because it is a way of life for us. Love to hear some of your stories about how you helped somebody who maybe had a severe injury, who went through their PT, and they were certainly better, but you guys took them to the next level. And what did that give you, and what did it give them?
Well, I had a man who came out of some bad shoulder surgery, and he really didn't do his rehab properly. He didn't have the range of motion back. A year and a half later, he was kind of depressed about it because he realized he hadn't done what he was supposed to do. He's back in PT. All that man wanted to do was play tennis again. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was it. But he couldn't touch the bar to his chest. He couldn't raise his arm over his head. And after we worked on it, took a while. 6 months into it and a year into it, he was back playing tennis. He was back doing the things that he wanted to do.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure there's anything any more discouraging than having something that you really love taken away and not having a way to get it back. Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break here. You're listening to Health Matters. I'm Dr. Nelson Bulmash. I have Callahan and Anna from Roswell Barbell. Join us momentarily.
Hello, my name's Tim Ray, founder of the United Intention Foundation, where we have a forum for people like you who are committed to changing our world for the better. That's why you're here, right? Well, we need volunteers who see themselves as seeds of positive change, to raise those around you to a joyful mindset. Here's a place where you can use your skills to be the change you want to see in the world. In addition, what's great at the United Intention Foundation is you have the ability to develop skills and gain internship hours and volunteer on several committees and projects such as video editing, marketing, and much, much more. So get started and click that I Want to Volunteer link and start your journey as the newest member of this movement that's changing this world with the power of your intentions.
Welcome back. I'm Dr. Nelson Bulmash, and you're listening to Health Matters. My guests today, Anton and Callahan from Roswell Barbell. Welcome back, everyone.
Hello.
Callahan, tell us, we got cut off there. We had to take a break and listen to our sponsors for a moment. Tell us about some of your successes where you had somebody come in, maybe that had an injury or something that was limiting and was really discouraging to them, and how you helped them sort of regain part of their life back.
Okay. I don't really have. I'm gonna go more along this line. Let's go this route with this one. That I've had numerous people all through the years who came in with multiple injuries, thinking they can't do this, can't do that, and wanted to compete. And for me, it was more about getting into that direction. So to date, okay, knock on wood, I've been successful as those who've wanted to get back to their activities. We've got them all back. And for me, the biggest thing about that, it really is when they want to compete, especially in any kind of lifting, and I don't care if it's weightlifting or powerlifting, whatever, I live and die on every attempt.
Yes, you do.
Every attempt.
I will verify that.
I live and die. I mean, I will watch that thing, and if it's a borderline, and they give you the red, I just die. But at the same time, when they give you the white, I'm the first one there to meet you. let's, next,
Right,
let's
right.
roll. I don't know if I can just pick out one because I hate to
okay.
say- 'cause like I said, I've been in
Yeah.
this game a long
Right.
time, and I've worked with so many people who
Well,
thought.
yeah.
Well,
you know.
but you have a whole slate of clients that have physical issues or come in
Oh, yeah,
with
I deal with-
disabilities.
Yeah, okay,
and you
okay.
work with
well,
all
right,
of
well,
them.
okay. So then on that extreme, here's a cat that I got my hands on. Definitely not the person you would think who would ever want to work with me. All right, he was when I first met him. He was in his late 50s. He was 512 pounds, and
6'8".
Yeah,
6'8".
this was actually the story I was hoping you were going to
Okay,
tell.
so he's a very big man, and he is all kinds of busted up. And this is when we're over at Body Pros, the physical therapy place, and the therapist there was like, "For what you need, that's the gentleman you need." And he looked over me and he goes, "There's no way I'm working with him." He goes, "No." And he goes, "For what you need, that's your guy, because he's not going to put up with your nonsense." He goes, "What?" He goes, "He's not going to listen to you cry, and he's going to keep you going."
Yeah, it's a little
And
frightening. It's sad
so-
to see a 500-plus pound man
Right.
crying
Yeah.
with
You know.
6'8", 5'12".
Yeah, so I go over to he talks to me and I'm right, and I look right. He goes, "I'm 5'12". I said, "Well, you're about to die." And he goes, I said, "No, I'm sorry. No man walks around on this planet at 500 pounds for very long." I said, "You got to drop this weight." And so we started working, and it was obviously a slow process. He had very little mobility and hadn't lifted weights in probably 40 years. He was a very active guy in his teens and 20s, rugby player and all that. So he had an athletic background. He just decided to sit in the chair. And he sat because he became one of those, coder guys and, built an unbelievably successful business, but, forgot about, if my body doesn't work, I don't work.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, through the years, I've had this gentleman now, and I still have him, but we have got him down. We've had him as low as 290. We've got
Wow.
him. We've got him off crutches. We've got him out of wheelchairs.
Through
with
surgeries.
multiple surgeries,
Yeah.
back surgeries, neck surgery, knee surgery, all of it. And we still keep trucking along. And he sits in there and he fights me and tells me no, and I just look right at him and, "Have you said something?" "I'm sorry, what?" And we just keep going.
Yeah.
Because that's just the name of this game.
Now we roped in his family.
And we got we got the whole crew in there now.
I love it. Families who live together often stay together.
Yeah, there you have it.
So I'm going to switch gears again here. You guys have a very interesting technology, and I have to come clean with you. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I have to tell you this. I have a whole lot of people that ask me questions about it. One of the things, the new technologies, and I think it's relatively new, certainly correct me if I'm wrong, is that you use a new modality to help decrease inflammation, not only in yourselves, but in those people who lift hard in your gym. It's called cryotherapy. Tell me about it.
Okay, cryotherapy is, in a very simple term, is a 3-minute ice bath without the horribleness of 20 minutes in ice cold water. You stand in this chamber for 3 minutes, and you're blasted by a mist of
Nitrogen.
liquid nitrogen, and it's quite safe. And I will just say that, and I'm only going to speak. It's actually been around since '78. The Japanese came up with it in '78.
Yeah.
It is just recently, in the last 3 or 4 years, really started to make a huge showing here in the States
And
as
professional sports.
professional sports, NCAA.
College.
I know it's
Level
getting hugely
athletes.
popular, just
Very
based on
popular.
how many people keep asking
for
me about it.
recovery.
for
Yes,
recovery.
for recovery.
And like I said, there's all kinds of science behind of what it can do, or they say it can do. From our standpoint and from my standpoint, I will just say what it does for me personally, and what I know it does for the people who I talk into going to it. Is, first of all, it just eliminates the inflammation in my body, which then has let me train harder and train longer, which is the thing that I wanted to do the most. But the thing I get most from it is the sleep. The sleep is worth the price of admission.
That's
It's just-
interesting.
I know
And
people
why
look
do
at-
you think you think you just sleep better because you have far less
I don't know.
inflammation?
I think
Yeah.
it might be the endorphin rush that you get,
Yeah.
and then consequently later your
Well,
sleep is.
and I want to make sure I'm
beautiful.
hearing this correctly. We're talking about a mist of liquid nitrogen.
That's right. That's
That's
right.
very, very cold, and that
is
sounds
very, very
unpleasant to me.
But versus
it's
20
not.
minutes in water.
And we don't lose. No, I get it. 3 minutes is much shorter than 20, and all body parts stay attached to the
Yes.
body.
Also, when you come out of that, your body is working really hard to warm you back up again,
get it.
right?
So it really
there's a
increases your
big
metabolic
burst
rate.
of endorphins, and my metabolism is working faster for the rest of the day.
Wow, I love
Absolutely.
it.
So
it
people
decreases
do
inflammation and increases metabolic rate.
Absolutely.
What's the
This
downside?
we know.
It's cold.
It's cold. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
No, but Nelson, along that we use that modality. You know that we use chiropractic,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I am a patient of yours, and I send a lot of my
Right.
clients
Yes,
to
you
you.
do. Thank you.
We absolutely we do. like dry needling, massage, we're up for it.
So you guys are very, very progressive in how you take care of yourselves. Unfortunately, I meet a whole lot of athletes. It always astounds me when I go to a national or a world championship and I see people eating food that is artificial, meaning, processed garbage, and, liters of soda, and they don't take care of themselves through chiropractic, through massage, through quality supplementation. How in the world do you get to that level and be so unsophisticated, so unaware of what is appropriate and proper to get you and maintain you?
We're really proactive. And
I know you guys
That's
are.
one of the things that we help our gym members and help our our clients
Well,
with.
you have to be when you've lifted,
that's
at least
just
for
it.
Callahan and myself.
wanna stay
and
in
I know
the game.
I know you're probably only in your 20s, but Callahan and I are a little bit older than that, and
That's it.
and our bodies are a little broken down over many
Right.
years of
No,
physical
right.
assaults with heavy weight and such.
And I think that's what people don't understand is that when you stay in the strength and power games, you're going to get broken. If you're lucky, you're only going to get a small injury. It's kind of like on a motorcycle. It's not a matter of if, it's going to be when.
Yeah, right.
And I hate to say that, but that's just the reality of the power game. You're going to get injured. You just hope it's a small one. You hope you can recover very quickly. But that's having said all that, what happens is when you become a bigger lifter, you become a competitive lifter, powerlifting, weightlifting, bodybuilding. If you're going to go that route, strongman competitions, Highland Games, it really doesn't matter. When you're exerting that kind of force and you're putting that kind of physical stress on your body, on that CNS, you have got to make a commitment to maintenance on this body. You've got to build a network. Don't rely on drugs and painkillers because they're just maskers. They let you do it for that second, but chances are they're going to turn around.
Right.
And you're going to blow a gasket. You got to put together a maintenance team because in very simple terms, you're going to go from being a Toyota to a Maserati, and that's just the game. And not picking on Maserati, please, nothing like that. But let's face it, those cars need a lot of performance. They need a lot of touch up. They need a lot of tuning. And when you get to that level, you better find a way.
It's injury prevention.
It's injury prevention, right?
Well, I'm really, really happy that we're talking about this because, I still remember the day I walked in the gym and learned how to deadlift. It kind of went like this. And by the way, I had the equivalent. Mr. Sigmund was his name.
There you go.
He was as terrifying to look at as you can imagine, and my goodness, did he bark a lot. Seemed like he had to be part lowland gorilla and part Kodiak bear.
Nice.
No offense to his mom. But he was a really big man, and he was very, very intimidating. And I remember he looked at me, he scowled, and that I was supposed to deduce meant it's time for you to lift. And, of course, I'd never deadlifted in my life. And I said, how do I do this? Bend over and pick up the weight. And so that's exactly what I did. Knees knees were essentially locked out. I bent over, stiff-legged, and
You
did a
felt
stiff.
that the next day.
Yes, I did.
Where was
Yes.
your cryo?
Well, back in the 1970s. Well, you said it was in the 1970s.
78, but
That's
chances
right.
are
Yeah,
there's in a bucket of ice.
1970. Yeah, this was like mid 1970s. Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly what they did.
Exactly. Put you in a
They had a
bucket of
big
ice.
steel container. They filled it full of ice
And
and
you
then
sat.
water, and you sat there and
And
you
you
shivered for 20 minutes.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Well, I'm glad you guys are so proactive, and I love that you educate people about how to lift properly, how to lift successfully, and you take such good care of your people, and that you particularly keep an eye and teach these young people about commitment, about focus, about discipline, about how to be, part of the community in a very respectful way, and that's really, really amazing. Final thoughts, Callahan.
All right, final thoughts on this. If you are going to enter the power game, the strength game, or just if you're just going to decide to finally get out and be stronger, be healthier, know this, it is not a hobby. It is a lifestyle, and you have got to commit to this. It's got to be done. It cannot be on that cold day, that rainy day, that day that life just beat you down. Guess what? You're going in. You got to take care of business because it's not going to happen any other way. And the first time you say, I'm not going today because
Yeah,
that's
it's a slippery slope.
Slippery slope. That's right.
You got to show up.
Show up.
That's what I tell my folks. Just show up. I can't train you if you don't show up.
Fantastic. Any other final thoughts?
That's it.
All right. So as we conclude, thank you all so much for listening. And I want to make sure everybody knows where you guys are and how to get a hold of you. Where are you guys located?
Oh, we're right here in Roswell, GA, on Highway.
11235 Alpharetta Highway.
That's right. Conveniently located between Carl Black and Sharpshooters. You can't miss us.
Or RoswellBarbell.com, Instagram, and Facebook.
Awesome. Awesome. Listen, folks, thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Health Matters with me, Dr. Nelson Bulmash. I want to thank my guests, Anton and Callahan. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Put it on your calendar, folks. I'll have another amazing edition of Health Matters. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of Health Matters with Dr. Nelson Bulmash.